Hello and welcome into episode 105 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. It is Monday, February 23rd in the evening. This episode will probably come out in the morning of the 24th. It has been a week since our last recording. The NBA is back and rolling. Probably 25, 20, somewhere between 20 and 25 games left for every team as we wind down the season here. Dom, how are you doing on this fine Monday evening?
I'm doing good. I had a busy weekend. Kind of mentioned some things before the pod that I did. Went to quite a few shows that my friends were putting on, and went to a golf tournament, a PGA golf tournament, the Genesis Invitational. Pretty cool. Never been to a golf tournament, gotta say. It was a lot cooler than I expected. And then I went to Long Beach and I went to an intimate performance at a record store by an artist called Iron and Wine. So it was pretty cool. It was a good weekend, and I'm excited tonight to talk hoops. I caught up a little bit on some hoops. On the NBA app, I found like they do recaps after every day. I was like, oh, sick. So I was gonna like be watching that basically, whatever I miss. So um, that's me. That's me in a nutshell. Hey, how are you doing, Damon?
I'm doing all right. Keeping busy as the year progresses. School year is a busy time as an educator. It feels like getting the spring break, last break of the year before we're going down the stretch. Still a couple weeks away. This weekend, Friday and Saturday, I didn't really do anything of note, but Sunday, fellow ethical baller Jared and myself and a couple of our other friends here in Austin went and played disc golf, which is the first time I played disc golf in like 3 or 4 years. Something
Dude,
I
how
used to
was
do a
it?
lot. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. It was a lot of fun. I was really the only person that had played before, like regularly, so I absolutely wiped the floor with them. But it was a fun experience, and they all had a lot of fun. All three, it was two other people, Jared and myself. All three
hmm
of them were like, "Wow, this was so fun!" So like, that we're gonna try to make it like a weekly or like bi-weekly thing,
Yeah.
and go kind of regularly. So it was Sunday. It was like 50 degrees, so the weather wasn't too bad, and but it was nice and sunny, and it was an 18-hole course, kind of in the middle of Austin. So there's a
hmm
bunch of courses around that we might get around and attempt, but it was good.
Dude, when I also didn't mention good news. I bought flights for back home. I'm coming home in April. So we gotta go play disc golf. Why not?
Yes, I know. I've trickled it onto your plate before, just a little
Yeah, no,
tease here and there.
I had a ton of fun when we did that. What, like 4 or 5 years ago now? Probably like 5 years ago. Crazy.
And that was
But
like a crappy neighborhood course. That wasn't even like a real deal course.
hey, my dad's neighborhood is sick. Okay. No, yeah, it was just like for like people who are just want to throw. It's not, yeah, not a real course by any means. But that's all. I'm glad you had a lot of fun. That's really cool. It's just nice to be outside and do stuff like active like that, you know?
And
So,
I was starving to death when we went to Denny's. Oh, brother.
dude, Denny's hits
Oh,
especially when you have to starve yourself for Denny's. Like
yeah.
you have to. You got to do it. I didn't make the rules. You just got to do it that way. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
some news has happened. You know who else is starving themselves probably?
who's that?
No, he's not going to starve himself, but he did break his left hand. Dillon Brooks, he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks for the Suns. Did you see the Jalen Green game winner?
Oh, no, I did not.
He had
I'm
a
not tuned in the
double.
Suns ball.
He had a double overtime game winner over. Was it the Magic? I think it was the Magic. And yeah, double overtime. Just like shot a three, and at the buzzer, like it was a true in every sense of the word a game winner buzzer
Hmm.
beater. So like it was very cool.
He's
Shout out.
back. He's played like 5 games of basketball this year. Let's go.
Yes, he's then the Suns are seventh, and we'll see how they do in the play and
Yeah,
whatnot.
they've
But
been. They'll need him to keep afloat without Dillon Brooks. He's been easily their second best player this year. So.
yeah, absolutely.
Another man, the opposite side of that matchup you just mentioned, Franz Wagner, the Magic. He has already been out with a high ankle sprain, but now they kind of released a new statement after reevaluation that he'll be out an indefinite amount of time. So there's no real timetable in his return because the ankle sprain, I guess, somewhere in the recovery process took a turn for the worse. So I think he was expected to come back around this time, but they were like, actually, it's going to be a while. So yeah, this is another another year where it feels like we don't see all the magic pieces together. 2 years ago it felt like mostly Jalen Suggs. Last year it felt like mostly Paolo. This year it's like mostly Franz, but they all have missed time here and there. And then of course they traded for Bane this year, so they've had an underwhelming season for sure. And it's hard to evaluate because one of their core pieces has missed significant amount of time every season. And I think some people have kind of been putting some pressure on Jamal Mosley as the coach, which I do understand because at some point, it feels like this should have been a season where they're clearly like a top four, top five team. But
Yeah.
when you're constantly missing one of your best players, I could understand some frustration on his end if he's like, I never have my team that I want to coach. But maybe that's a part of being a coach, adapting to those situations.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's tough, especially for a team right now who's sitting at the seventh seed. The Heat are right on their tail. Hawks are coming up as well. Charlotte's been really hot. So it's like you want to be able to keep where you're at, or at least try to get higher. No one wants to be in the play-in for sure. But with Franz Wagner is indefinite amount of time, might not be back to the playoffs, doesn't get enough run in to kind of get used to like being in the game again. Like it doesn't look super optimistic, especially with the Cavaliers playing super well right now too. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just is unfortunate for them. And hopefully they have their team all together at some point. I would like to see that. The Magic are playing the Lakers tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. They did win yesterday against the Clippers, just barely though, just by
Yep.
two. Speaking of other teams losing players, the Sacramento Kings are losing both Zach Lavine and Domantas Sabonis to season-ending surgeries for a hand tendon repair and a torn meniscus, respectively. So, Kings last in the West, gonna stay last in the West.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, it's like, their young guys can get some run. What young guys? I mean,
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook's gonna get more run in season 18.
Mhm.
DeAndre Hunter can just keep shooting three. I mean, like, what's really going on over there?
If Russell Westbrook stays as a King, does he change his number to 19 for season 19 next year?
That is what I've been thinking all season. As soon as I found out 18 was the season, I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense because are you going to change it for every season? Or is it going to be like 18 plus one? Just like, I don't know. Or is he going to
Um,
retire, you think? I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't
I
want that.
hope not. Not as a King, please.
Yeah, please go back to the Lakers.
Yeah, he needs one of the. He just needs one of those like. Try to do what Chris Paul did, I guess. Go back to your team of most prominence. I don't know. I don't know if the Thunder are so good though that I don't know if they would do that. But
Yeah.
um, Sabonis had already been out for a long time with this meniscus. I think when it first happened, I was like, oh, it's interesting because they were like, oh, 6 weeks, and I was like, that's like a season-ending injury but I think at the time it was just partially torn. And now being 15 seed, bad team all year, they probably were just like, yeah, let's go ahead and just call it. Same thing with Zach Lavine. Like a hand tendon is a serious thing, but I'm sure it's not normally a season-ending thing. But when it's this point in the season, might as well just call it quits.
Do you know what their losing streak is at right now?
I'll give you 17.
You're, wow, really close. 16.
Okay.
And I didn't realize, I thought NBA.com just went up to 10 and just kind of stopped, but it goes past 10 if you're like on a winning
This,
or losing streak.
yeah, it shows the last 10 and then it shows the streak. I'm out
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh. I didn't realize it was like, oh God. And they've only won 12 games. Eesh.
The Sacramento Kings, the 2024 Detroit Pistons. Let's go.
Yeah. That means next year they're coming back with a vengeance. I mean,
Right, right.
I don't want to be that
One can hope.
optimistic. Yeah, and another player, different team, Kyrie Irving of the Dallas Mavericks is being shut down for the rest of the season to heal from his torn ACL suffered last season. Kind of expected this because the Mavericks aren't very good and they're not really competing for anything as of this moment. So why risk putting him in a game just to get hurt again, or it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think they're getting ready for next year already. They are already about like 6 games behind the 10th seed, and it's only 20 25 games left. So it doesn't really make a
Yeah.
why put him at risk. Just have him healthy for next season. Maybe try to make a play and push. I don't know what these Mavericks are gonna do, but we'll
Tank,
find.
which we're going to talk about later.
We sure are. Yeah, you want to talk about this next thing that you didn't know about?
Yeah, I didn't know about this until you put it on here. Pat Riley received a statue outside the Crypto.com arena. I hate reading that. In Los Angeles,
I hated typing it too.
coaching the Lakers to 4 championships. Now, real quick, I'm gonna need to enlarge this for me.
Please.
Oh, brother, let me
It
look at
went it
this.
went below. Yeah.
Yeah, this is I'm looking at the statue here. Paint a picture for the listener. He has a left hand on the hip, right hand in the air, kind of balled into a fist. Um, Wearing classic coach gear in the day back in the day, the old button up tie, suit jacket, suit pant. The jacket and pant are clearly two different colors, which I don't know if that was, if they were mimicking a look that he wore in a game would be my guess. I imagine the pose is based off of a real pose, like a real picture they took. Um, it's not a terrible statue. Like it's a weird choice of the pose, I think. I feel like there's some other directions they could have went with this. The worst part about this photo is Pat Riley himself in front of the statue doing the pose and doing it so much worse than it is in the statue. Granted, he's like 1,000 years old now.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. I mean, I'm trying to actually, so if I'm trying to find, I know I've seen the actual picture uh of him doing this pose. I think it was one of the championships with
sure,
Magic.
that makes sense. Yeah,
I'm
I mean
trying
it's not bad.
There's a quote from him saying before it was unveiled, he said that they got to get the hair right. So, if that means anything, man. Yeah, I mean, Pat Riley, legendary coach for the Lakers. So I'm fine with it. I mean, I guess Phil Jackson's gonna have to get a statue too. Got 5.
Sure.
So it's just, I've been to that square where the statues are. Next time you come visit, we should go just so you could see, it's kind of cool. Because they have all the sports. So they have hockey there too. They have um like
Name one
announcers,
hockey player
commentators.
that's there.
Gretzky. Easy. The
Why is
only one
Wayne
I
Gre
know
Why is Wayne Gretzky there?
he was on the LA Kings.
I didn't know that.
I only know that because I've been to the stadium. I was like, I'm not a hockey guy like that. Um, but it's cool. So, congrats, Pat Riley, I guess.
Congratulations.
Thanks for the
Weird.
championships.
What? I mean, I guess the question is like, why now? It's a weird time. It's like those championships were a long time ago.
Yeah, and also he's not the GM of the Heat, or is he owner, right? Part-time owner? What is his
So it's a weird one. I think he is like the GM, kind of
Yeah, he's like GM, and I think he
president of
has
basketball operations or something.
one of those things. Yeah, so he's like very prominent in a different organization, and the Lakers are like, yeah, no, we'll give a statue to the competition, so to speak,
The
if I'm
team
allowed to say
president,
that. Team president, hey,
which
go
is
off.
basically like a GM, but
Yeah, go off, Mr. Riley. Um,
he's been the team president since '95, and he was also the coach from '95 to 2003. Bro is the GM and the coach. That's nuts.
that is nuts. There's just some people that just are ingrained. Okay, I will say there are quite a few people ingrained in one organization, not two. Two is
Yeah.
crazy. Like Greg Popovich is the Spurs, you know? And you,
Hmm.
you could probably say now Pat Riley is like Heat, but he also like I guess used to be Lakers, but he was a coach. He wasn't that like
Yeah, the
president
Lakers are
of.
tough though, because there's so many people.
Yeah,
It's
Where's my Luke Walton head coach statue?
mm,
I want that one.
one of the worst head coaches. God, just terrible.
Oh, he deserves it. He was a Lakers head coach. Where's my JJ Redick coach statue?
Are you still there? You never know.
Hey, yeah, where he's gonna get us 3 championships, 3-peat.
Mm.
Please JJ Redick, Mr. Redick. Hey, talking about the Lakers. Let's talk about the Lakers.
Let's talk
They
about them.
are 34
Tell
and
me.
22, fifth in the West, 6 and 4 in the last 10. I do have
Mm,
to say, they're winning games against teams they should be beating, which is
yeah.
good. They beat the Clippers, they beat the Mavericks, they got blown out by the Spurs. They did lose to the Celtics yesterday. Peyton Pritchard was on one, and I mean, Lakers just always have a tough time against the only time the Lakers are good against the Celtics is when our two best players are out. So if LeBron and Luka didn't play, we probably would have won. It's the only time
Ah,
we ever win.
naturally.
It's just such an interesting thing that happens. Thunder beat us. We did beat the Warriors. We beat the 76ers, which I watched the end. The 76ers had the lead in a lot of that game, but then they came back. And I actually had a gig that night. They were playing the Lakers game, and they were like, "Do you mind if we leave the game on before you play your set?" I said, "I would love it if you left the game on so I could finish it and then play my set." So got to watch the end of that. Knicks beat us. We blew out the Wizards. Got blown out by the Cavaliers. Beat the Bulls. So like it's a pretty good balance of things. Like we're not losing to the Wizards and the Bulls and things of that nature. So like at this point in the season, I think we're just trying to get to the finish line. And of course, we still want to win games. And we have the Magic tomorrow. So we'll see what's going on. Everyone for the first time I saw this. I think was it for the Celtics game or the game before? For the first time this season, no one's on the injury report. Everyone's healthy. Isn't that crazy?
How long will it last?
Hey, don't say it like that, man. Hey, come on. Hey, if everyone's healthy, why didn't we beat the Celtics last? How about we talk about that? But
Um, tough, 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 tough. Big
yeah,
tough.
but we're just trying to make it to the end of the season, and I'm just glad everyone's healthy. We'll see what we're seeding. I know seeding will matter as things kind of get toward the end. Right now, we're basically all tied, like Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, Timberwolves, and even the Suns. But now with the
Yeah.
Dillon Brooks thing, like I'm kind of like maybe down as much. But
So it'd be crazy to get this 4-5 Rockets Lakers matchup in the first round. So it'd be
dude,
nuts.
I will have to go to a game. I'm gonna. I don't know
So,
how, but I have. I have. Like, come on, yeah, it's insane. That'd be so cool.
yeah.
So. We'll see. If it's $300, maybe I won't. But I will do everything
Right.
I can. I'll start a
Right.
GoFundMe. I'll start a GoFundMe. Hey, talking about the Rockets, how are the Rockets doing?
The Rockets just above the Lakers, half a game up in the standings at 34 and 21. Fourth in the West. Currently, we're obliterating the Jazz. Shocker. So we'll have a game and a half after this, I suppose. 8 and 5 since we last kind of talked in depth about our home teams. It was back in like January, late January. But most of our wins have been kind of over bad teams, except we did beat both one seeds, the Pistons and the Thunder. Although when we beat the Thunder, they haven't had J-Dub for a while, and they also didn't have Shea, and we beat them by like 6. So it was a close game, and they didn't have like their best two players. So it's like I didn't take really anything from that. Um, the Pistons, that game did matter. Especially, it feels like the Pistons have been kind of coasting lately, though, because they have such a lead in the Eastern Conference that it feels like they're kind of pumping the brakes a little bit. And then we did lose to teams like the Spurs, the Celtics, the Knicks. So those other teams that I think are around our tier, those kind of not title favorites, but teams just a rung or two below, we're losing those matchups still pretty consistently, which makes sense because Spurs, Celtics, and Knicks, those are all teams I gave a part of my championship pie to, and I did not give it to the Rockets because I just don't think that we're quite there. I think, yeah, at this point, again, without Steven Adams for the rest of the season, there's been little whispers of Fred VanVleet coming back from the torn ACL. I don't see that
What is
happening.
up with this?
Yeah,
We talked about this last time. What the?
yeah,
Let a brother get some rest, man. Down. Anyways,
yeah. I see kind of second round exit as kind of our best bet. I think, I'm thinking of the West, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Spurs, the Wolves. I would say all four of those teams I would pick over the Rockets in a series for sure.
you
And
didn't
then
say the
after that,
Lakers.
true. That's true. After that, it becomes a little bit of a toss
What
up, I
the
think.
heck? No,
And
kidding,
after
kidding,
the, so yeah, I'm kind of like sadly already ready for next season because I think like the vision's here, and we're developing, we're playing guys, we're getting out there, but it just sucks because in the back of my mind, I think without those Steven Adams and Fred, I just don't really think we have a shot at kind of getting where we need to come playoff time. So I'm kind of hoping for next season already, which is a scary thought because our best player is Kevin Durant, who is definitely up there in age.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like there's really anything we can do this season to kind of correct that or help with those losses.
Especially at this point. I mean, I think around the trade deadline, maybe could have gotten some kind of point guard to maybe fill in the blanks until Fred comes back. But also, you don't want to give up too much for in a trade or signing a free agent or something. So, I think the Rockets kind of standing pat in a sense makes sense if you're looking forward to next season. But again, like Kevin Durant at least still looks good. Like I haven't really, there's been no like
Yeah,
health scares or anything. So like at least that's positive. Shingun's back and he's playing well. So at least everyone who has been playing is seems healthy. Is Tari Eason back? He's back, right? I
Ferguson's
don't.
back. Yeah, I mean he's
Okay.
kind of in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Had some wacky minute things there, some attitude stuff, but it seems like that has kind of the dust has settled there, which is good. Our rotation definitely feels more solidified at this point in the year than it
Hmm.
did. So I wonder when we get to the end of the season, kind of what they're going to look like going into next season. Like if there's a move that does need to be made, if we need to move Hatari Eason and somebody else for like another piece. Dorian Finney-Smith hadn't really done squat diddly doos as a Rocket this year, which is pretty unfortunate. So I think if he does do something, like we basically need him to fill the Tari Eason minutes if we try to get rid of Tari Eason, or we need him to up his own value because he has a fine contract in his own right to trade. But right
Hmm.
now he's just playing so poorly that I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, I think whatever reason, especially after that injury and like this trade and stuff, like it's kind of giving me KCP vibes a little bit.
Little
Um,
KCP, that's
But
not what
he's
you like to
he's a
hear.
legend. No, he's a legend though, so it's okay. But like you kind of could do what the Magic did, use him in a trade package. So I understand that. Hopefully, he can kind of play his value up a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we shall see where the chips lie. You brought up something, and we're gonna talk about it.
Are we
You
now?
brought it up. You're not the only one that brought it up. Adam Silver also brought this up. We
A
got a
lot of people brought it
crisis.
up.
We got a crisis happening. Its name is tanking.
His
Okay.
name is his name is the Sherman,
Is it?
the Panzer.
The Panzer Sherman. The Panzer, the
We
Sherman,
actually talked about both of those tanks yesterday while playing disc
uh,
golf.
World War
I don't
II.
remember what we were talking about, but they said tank for something, and I was trying to remember the names of them, and those are the
Tiger.
two that came up.
Tiger is also a tank from World War
There
II.
you go. There you
All
go.
right. Hey, all right. And history lesson. Doesn't
Yeah.
Jared teach history?
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah, so
does.
he knows his stuff. Anyways, yeah, so tanking is something that some teams do. Just a little rundown kind of like it's
What's
different and
what is tanking?
what's
Hello,
that?
tell me.
It's different across every sport. So at least in basketball, tanking is when you intentionally lose by either intentionally sitting players who can play or just losing games on purpose, essentially doing anything you can, putting players on the injury report when they don't need to be on the injury report. And
Hello,
are you sure
chilling.
you're a fan? Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't know if you were grabbing like a tank, so I don't know.
What the fuck?
Like a little, I don't know, dude. I don't know,
From
man.
the sky? What do you mean?
um, yeah. So tanking is that, and it's a problem because quite a few teams you can think of that have been bad the last couple of years for sure, and have been consistently kind of bad. And no one wants to go to a game if you know your team's going to lose. No, you know what I mean? And like, you were watching, you went to Houston Rockets games when they were rebuilding. And I wouldn't say they were never really tanking, but they weren't that good and you kind of went knowing they might lose. The thing is they're still like playing for something. There's development. There's a reason
Mhm.
why they're on the court. But it feels like some teams just sit out these young players. Like the Jazz sitting out Keontae George just because they don't want to win games because he's that good. It's like, well, that hurts his development. So there's a lot of issues going on with tanking right now, and like some teams, please.
Why would a team ever want to intentionally lose?
A team wants to intentionally lose is a great question. Thank you. Because we have a draft. The NBA has a draft every year, and if you have a worse record, technically you have a higher chance of getting the higher pick, like the number one pick, number two, number three. They did flatten out the odds for the top three couple years ago, so now the top three worst teams are about like 14.2%, I think,
Yeah, it's just
odds.
like 14, I think, across the board for the first three.
Yeah, so that kind of helped out a little bit, but then teams that, historically might have been good, but then maybe bad for one season will jump up. Like the Mavericks jumped up to get Cooper Flag, even though they were really good before then. And the Warriors, I can think of in 2020, just because Steph Curry was out, they basically were tanking and they got the second
Second
pick,
pick.
second pick. Yeah, with James
Hmm.
Wiseman. So, that happens. And the thing is, some people don't think that's necessarily fair. That a team has been historically very, very good. They have one bad season and then they get a top pick. So, Adam Silver and the NBA have been trying to think of solutions to this problem. Um,
But to before you say that, to counter this point, because those are good examples of teams that are good and have an off year and end up kind of getting rewarded by the lottery system. There's also teams like the Jazz, the Wizards, the Hornets, etc., who have basically been bad for a decade. And then the Jazz, that's a stretch. They were good with Donovan Mitchell.
yeah,
Um,
Nets.
Nets,
I guess they were
they
actually
had the
they had
Durant
Kevin
Harden time.
Durant.
Yeah. So basically, there are teams that are bad for a long time and are constantly in the lottery and constantly picking near the top of the draft. Yet they haven't quite figured out how to turn all of those top draft picks into success. And I think that's kind of the other issue with this is those teams that are constantly losing and constantly getting draft picks, yet they're kind of in the same place.
And I did also want to add too that there are some teams where it's the opposite, where they have been bad, like the Spurs. The Spurs were bad for a couple years, and they get the number one overall pick with Wimby, and now they're number two in the West. So like that's like a success story. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that's one example among many examples of the other side where it just isn't helping, and they're tanking, they're losing, fans are losing interest, like, especially after the trade deadline and stuff like this,
Mhm.
just it's like, what am I watching my team for? They're not going to make the playoffs, and people like us, we love the game, so we're going to watch it no matter what. But the average person wants to watch their team for something, there's got to be something to fight for. So like you mentioned, like in the East, like the Wizards and the Nets, like the last few couple years, been pretty bad. Pacers are really bad this season. Last season, they were in the finals, and this year they're just the worst in the East. And then the West, like we mentioned, like the Jazz, they kind of bought into some players, so maybe that's kind of their. Even though they might be actively tanking now, that's not the long game. But even then, as a fan, you don't love seeing that. And the Kings, like we mentioned earlier, worst team in the league. And then the Pelicans, who have been bad for a while because, sometimes they try to get
Yeah.
in the playoffs and Zion isn't healthy enough and then they don't have enough around. So, you know,
So I wanted to say that the Nets, Pacers, Kings, and Pelicans, those are the 14 and 15 seeds in both conference. They're just not good. Like they play like people. They're just a bad basketball teams, and that's fine. It's fine to be a bad basketball team. But the Jazz and the Wizards, who are both at 13 right now, have respectively done some insane things in regards to tanking this year. The most like egregious one I can think of for the Jazz is they were up double digits right after they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. And then him and Laurie Markkinen sat the entire fourth quarter of that game, and then they end up losing. Um, so clearly a win they were going to have, and they made sure to go their way about how to lose, basically, and they'll find kind of these knick-knack injuries to sit guys. They've been fined by the league for it multiple times. Jaren Jackson's now done for the season with that knee injury. You look at the Wizards on the other end. Trae Young has not suited up for them yet. Anthony Davis probably not going to suit up for them because they have kind of knick-knack things that they're just going to say, yeah, we're just going to handle these injuries and they'll suit up next season. Um, so they're not playing, a lot of their best players to kind of get lower in the standings. And these are two teams that have been this way for a while. The Wizards had a little bit of success with, John Wall, Bradley Beal, and even like Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, but they were like a first round, maybe second round exit at best kind of team. Similar thing with the Jazz. I think they did have a close to a conference finals appearance for that Terrence Mann Game 7 a couple years ago. But aside from that, they haven't been great since then. They've kind of been in this rebuild. They've had multiple top draft picks, and every year the Jazz have been kind of the worst example of tanking because they've started off like the last 3 years pretty fine, like a top-ish team, and they're like, wait a minute, what are we doing? We're supposed to be rebuilding. We got to start losing. And something that that does right is it kind of impacts your culture and it impacts your players and it impacts the locker room when you're just losing time and time and time and time again. That's all you kind of know how to do. That's all your coaches know how to do. That's all your players know how to do. It's really hard to develop those kind of winning tendencies. I feel like teams like the Hornets are kind of proponents of this. The Hornets are on fire right now, which is great, and I love to see that. And I think part of the reason is they got a new coach. They have Con Knipples battling for Rookie of the Year. He's coming from Duke, obviously a winning school. But, for the last 10 plus year, the Hornets have just been just a losing franchise. And when you lose so much, you kind of just get used to it. And it's interesting. Tanking is really only a thing in the NBA. Football teams don't really tank. Like they just kind of strut their guys out there. You're not going to see a team like, here's our backup quarterback going to play because we really want to lose this game. Like that doesn't really happen. Um,
Well, I mean, like the Chiefs took out um, Patrick Mahomes like halfway through a game, but he still played like half the game, like toward the end of the
yeah.
season.
I mean, he
So,
was also injured.
right.
He had like a real injury. I don't know. And they're like a little better at reporting those things and holding them accountable to those things in the NFL. I was trying to think of other sports. Baseball is an entire own thing because baseball has a draft that is incredibly long, and they have three minor league teams for each major league organization. There's a farm system. It's a whole thing in baseball. Tanking doesn't even make sense in baseball because it's not like basketball is really the only sport where it's like the draft is coming up. These are the guys we know are in like the top 10, and more often than not, those guys are going to hit. And you do have bust
Mhm.
here and there, but baseball, like a guy can get drafted in the seventh round and then kind of develop through that team's farm system, and then all of a sudden his rookie year, quote unquote, first year in the majors, could be 4 years after he's drafted, but he's super talented, kind of going up to the farm system at that point, and then it's like boom, here it is. So baseball doesn't really happen. Football doesn't really happen. I think part of the reason is the amount of games, 17 games, 18 games. It's really hard to lose a lot of games on purpose, especially because football coaching jobs are hard to come by. So losing on purpose, you're just not really going to see in the NFL when there's so little games to do so. And then I just explained baseball. So it's really an NBA problem, tanking, losing on purpose. And it's been a problem for a long time. And you mentioned they changed the draft lottery odds a couple years ago. So it used to be the top team with the worst record had a 25% chance of the number one pick. Then they changed it to where the top three teams have a 14% chance, and the rest goes to the lottery. The top 14, every team that doesn't make the NBA playoffs, basically has a chance at the number one pick is the idea, and then the odds go lower and lower. So the 14th team probably has a 1% chance,
Hmm.
something like that. And I think last year the Mavericks jump was like 10 to 1. It was like 1%. It was pretty low, 1.7% or something like that. To
So it
make
does
that
happen.
jump.
Yeah.
It does happen. Um, very rarely, but that's also part of the tanking discussion, not just these teams like the Jazz and Wizards that are at the top of this, but teams that instead of fighting for the eight seed, this is kind of a reason the play-in was made, is these teams that tank right at the end because they're like, well, we're just going to be an eight seed and like get a first round exit. We would rather have a chance at the number one pick because we have a 1% chance is better than a no percent chance if we make the playoffs. It's kind of the mindset. So that's why they made the play-in, which kind of incentivized teams and helps a little bit. But I mean, we saw when the Mavericks, when they tanked out of the playoffs to keep their pick to draft Derek Lively a couple years ago because it was top 10 protected. So they needed to fall to a certain pick number in order to maintain that pick. And pick protections, I think, are a part of this too. That's not something that any other league does, where you can trade a pick to a team, but you say if it lands between this and this, it actually still is our pick. That's not a thing in any other professional sports league. Um,
And it makes it so confusing,
it
especially
makes
like
it
the
very
yeah,
confusing.
yeah.
So yeah, why don't you tell us about some things that Adam Silver has talked about as potential anti-tanking rules? These are not for sure going to happen. These are just some subjects he floated across team desk as potential things to keep
Yeah.
an eye out for next season. And then we're going to get into and what we think is some potential solutions.
Yeah, because Adam Silver should listen to us, the people who watch the game. But some of the things they talked about, basically, first round picks can only be top four, top 14 protected, which is what you mentioned. This makes a lot of sense. It makes it easier. Like, for an example, when in the Zubats trade to the Pacers, now the Pacers have a Clippers pick that's top four protected and then 10 to 30 protected. So if it lands within like 6 through 9, then it goes to the Clippers. But if it lands higher or lower, it goes to the Pacers. And just is so bizarre.
And
It's
when
a
that
bizarre.
happens, when a protection lands, it basically just pushes that till the next year. And then sometimes it becomes a next year first round pick. Sometimes it becomes two second round picks. Sometimes it just disintegrates into nothing. Like it's,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just unnecessary. So top four, top 14, I think this makes sense. I don't think this is like a really crazy thing to propose and nothing that's going to change the game or the tanking odds too much. I think these other ones have a bit higher chance of doing that. I think this is just kind of a no-brainer, honestly. But
Hmm.
next, another one that was suggested: lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or later date. So essentially, right now, lottery odds, I mean, you can tank all the way up until the last game. Sometimes the
Right.
last game of the season, if you win or lose, depends if you're in the play-in or not, or in the playoffs, and it matters at the end of the season. So if you dip out of the play-in, you have a chance to you have a lottery odds to get like a top pick. But if they freeze at the trade deadline, so my only complaint is then like, what if a team gets really good? There's a little, I like it, but it's a little you get lost in the weeds with like if a team is just really hot in the beginning of the year and then they trade deadline go down and then they get better after, they're just kind of stuck in a perpetual like, oh well, we had the odds, so I guess we don't need to win even. It's a bit of a like, what are you playing for if you're not playing toward anything? Like if your team's not ready to win a championship or in the playoffs, like so like our
I
lottery odds
have
are
a,
frozen. We can't even try to.
I
Yeah.
I have, I have a counter or a modified version of this in my own tanking solution. So I'm gonna wait to comment on this one.
Okay. Basically, yeah. So just lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline. It's fine. Yeah. I
Hmm.
I I don't think it's great. I think there are a couple other better solutions. Next, teams are not allowed to pick top four in consecutive years after consecutive bottom three finishes, which speaks for itself. Basically, like the Spurs wouldn't have been allowed to pick Wemby, Stephon Castle, Dylan. Oh, let's were they bottom three? I can't remember.
I don't know if they were bottom three record wise. I think they jumped in the lottery multiple times.
Yeah, which is also a crazy thing that happens. But yeah, so basically, if you are in the bottom three, like the Wizards have been in the bottom three the last 3 years, and if they got a top four pick, they wouldn't be able to do it in consecutive years. So
Hmm.
that's something. So that way you're not incentivized to be bottom three because you're not going to be able to pick multiple times. That's the idea. Lottery odds allocated based on 2 year records. This I actually find quite interesting because this is going to be kind of like for these Pacers, these Warriors, like we were talking about. Like you have one bad
Hmm.
season, doesn't mean you're going to be jumping up as much. Um, Without getting too much into it, I like this one actually more than a lot of the others, but we'll get into it a bit more. Two more suggestions: lottery extended to include all play-in teams. So if you're making it to the play-in, doesn't mean you're necessarily not going to have any lottery odds. So that's cool. You play-in team doesn't mean you're gonna make it all the way in the playoffs. If you're like the Heat, sometimes you're able to make it all the way to the finals, but It's nice that if you make it in the play-in, you don't feel like it's a lost season because you're just going to get a first round exit. You still have a chance for a top pick. And then
Hmm.
last, flatten odds for all lottery teams. Now, this is kind of the extreme. It's like, doesn't matter if you won 10 games or you won 30 and you're in like the bottom five, it's across the board all the same
Did
percentages.
didn't make the playoffs, so you got the same chance as everyone else who didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, so you basically, yeah, you barely missed the play-in. You can still get number one overall pick. So, those are what the ideas suggested. I will say I don't hate any of them. I
Hmm.
appreciate that there is an incentive and there is a proactiveness in because I don't hear like I know people in the NBA world complain. I don't hear too many people like my friends and people I know sometimes watch complaining about this kind of stuff, but I really appreciate that it's coming. Like if you keep letting this happen, it will get worse and worse and then everyone will just be obsessed with it. So I'm glad that they're kind of thinking ahead a little bit with this kind of stuff. And now we're going to talk about our tanking solutions.
Yeah.
So,
Well, before we get to ours, I do want to pitch a couple more extreme things. Not that
yeah,
Adam, because those are things that Adam Silver said were like real possibilities. I've also seen, in other podcasts have kind of been talking about this and things like that. I have seen no lottery system. We do a wheel, or where basically like how did they explain it? It's hard to explain. It's like basically every 4 years, your team drafts in the top five, and it kind of just cycles through every team.
mm,
So basically, every team has like a set range of positions they'll draft in from year to year, and it doesn't matter about their record at all. Um, Obviously, the thing about that's insane is like the Thunder, they win 70 games, and then that year they could draft like number two. Like that would be crazy, right? Um, so that was a crazy one. I saw getting rid of the draft and just letting just letting players out of college and stuff just sign where they want to sign. So you have to make sure you have the salary cap and stuff for it and offer like whatever contract you want to offer, just straight into free agency, which would be kind of crazy.
that's insane.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God. That's like college. It's like basically, yeah, like
yeah,
and with the cap, but with the cap though, it helps a little bit. But even then, like everyone's gonna want to like no one's gonna want to go to the Washington. Like who's gonna sign
right.
there? Unless
Well,
they give them
if you're like, I want my own team,
sure. Yeah, I
yeah,
and there are players like that out there, but I mean it's harder to find, I
yeah.
will say.
So there are definitely extreme versions of this, for sure. But yeah, um, tanking solutions, our tanking solutions, what we're going to present today, a combination of some of these things that you just mentioned and some things I've thought of over time, some things we've probably talked about on the pod before. If you don't mind, I'd like to kick us off here. I'd like to go through my
Please,
initiative, my anti-tanking initiative. Okay,
please, let's
uh,
do it.
and and I'm going to start with this thing that I said I would comment on later. Lottery odds freezing at the trade deadline or a later date. I like this idea. Four teams like the Jazz who start off hot, and then as we get to this point in the season, they're like, "Oh God, we need to lose really badly." As we get late into the season, um, that if at this point the lottery odds are frozen, but and this is not an original idea of mine. I heard this somewhere. Um, so basically, it flips at the trade deadline. Wherever the lottery odds are, boom, they freeze right there. Every win that you get after the trade deadline boosts your lottery chances. So now instead of losing, winning is what you want to do for the rest of the season. And that will actually help you.
I see that. That makes sense.
So if you're the worst team at the trade deadline,
Hmm.
you can still be the worst team the rest of the season. You may fall to three, four, but if you actually try to get out there and win some games to keep that number one lottery chance because you did so poorly early in the season,
That makes
I
a lot of
think,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
feel like it
some
could work.
incentive, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. I think my only when I was thinking about this more, I'm like, what if you start the season just losing on purpose? So that means by
So
the trade, yeah, like
I,
what's
I have counters. I have counters
no,
for this.
I love this. I love this. It's basically devil's advocate right now. We're like,
No, no, I get it. Because you mentioned you could start off the season just tanking, right? And that would be the opposite of this. There's a couple of counters for this. One, I just think it naturally that teams kind of come out the gate trying to establish something. I feel like teams don't lose right away. They try to win and then eventually they make that decision. So I feel like that this would help that. But how about this? We've talked about this. 82 games, no more. 65 game season,
Mm.
less time to just egregiously lose a lot of games because there's not as many games. Um, and in terms of how that looks, calendar wise, I think the calendar really doesn't have to change that much. I think we just take the 82 game season that we currently have, we make it a 65 game season, and we basically just eliminate back to backs.
Yeah.
Um, and I think calendar wise, that'll look pretty similar. I think it's okay to have 5 games a night, 6 games a night. Whereas some nights it's like, here are 12 games a night. It's like, you know, like 4/5 of the league are all playing right now, and then 3/5 of the league are playing tomorrow. I think it's okay. Like, I can't watch all that anyways. So, like, it's okay to just have a 4 to 5 games a night, and like that's enough for the average person.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you spread it out enough, you can have a game every night. Just it doesn't have to
right.
be, you're gonna because this. I mean, how many times is there like 12 games one night and then there's nothing the next day? It's like why not?
Yeah.
Because
There's like two
because
games.
yeah. So
Um, Also, to counter this idea of people kind of tanking early on, I think the NBA does need to have I think they need to set an example, really, and I'm not sure what exactly this looks like. I think it needs to be targeted at the front office, though. But this, like, when we obviously are benching healthy players, um, they have this kind of like national TV policy that they're really strict about, where if it's a national TV game, they get like really upset about it. I think we just gotta do it all the time. And I think it has to come right into like the GM, the coach. Like we gotta fine, we gotta suspend, we gotta fire. Like we gotta. Part of the reason that teams like the Hornets, for example, the Wizards, are bad for so long is because their front office is just incompetent, anyways. Um, so if they're going to be incompetent for a long time and also try to tank on purpose, we got to start elevating those penalties, I think. Is it a three-strike system, a five-strike system where it starts with a fine, okay, a final warning, okay, you're out. Like we tried. Like we tried to tell you that this is not cool. Um, Here it goes. And it's hard because like you can't logistically say like, oh, you didn't play player so and so, where you clearly know he's a great player. But like everyone knows that Jaren Jackson Jr. is now one of the best player in the Jazz. So when you sit him out of nowhere, it's like alarming. Same thing with Lauri Markkanen, right? When he sits out of nowhere. And like I would understand if their argument is like, well, we can play whoever we want to play. Like it's our rotation. Blah, blah, blah. Like I could see how that kind of gets a little finicky in the word situation. Um, but I think you kind of also can. I think the reasoning has to be there because I think a lot of times it's like they're like, oh, knee soreness or like something like that. We got to get, I think, really accurate with these reports. And I know they've kind of addressed that a little bit as time has gone on, but I think that will help as well.
more accurate reports and also not day of. That stuff is. I'm at you buy tickets to a game, you show up, LeBron's like, my back is sore. I'm not playing. You're like, I paid $500 for these tickets. Like,
Right.
gotta do it like a day or two before. Like, that's just not
Which
right.
hopefully doesn't happen if the season is a little shorter. Um,
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I have two more things as part of my tanking solution amendment.
Please.
Um, so this one's a little crazy.
I
The
like
lot
crazy.
the lottery is open to all 30 teams. Everyone's a part of it. Even if you win the championship, you have a 0.1% chance for the number one pick.
Is that it? Is there and tell me there's something else to this. Is that it?
That's it. That's the scale. So like let's say the number one, like the worst team has like a 15% chance, and
Yeah.
like the best team has like zero point 0.1, and then like 29 is like zero point 0.2, zero point 0.3, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
those percentages are real low, but perhaps just those really low percentages are enough for teams to be like, oh, like there's still a chance. Like we should just be playing like we play because I feel like that's how teams think right now. With like, oh, we have a 6% chance if we are the 12th team or whatever. every now and then you could get a crazy situation that occurs where a team that is just in the finals gets the number one pick. But um, I tell you what, that'll impact tanking, I think.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I know where the idea comes from. I was thinking something similar, but I think you gotta eliminate at least like the conference finals and finals teams. I
Sure,
know that is you're getting nitpicky with it. You know, it's different every year. It makes it a
I
bit
hear you.
complicated. Yours is a bit more straightforward. It's just like basically everyone and odds and like, I get that. I think it's better than what it is now. I think something along like I would hate to see the team who won the championship be like a number one pick, even if it was 0.1%. Like
Yeah,
that
that'd
is
be tough.
but better than what it is now. I do
Yeah,
agree with
and I
that.
mean, we can work out the stipulations for
Yeah.
sure. Last thing I have is getting rid of pick protections.
Just period,
Um,
just across the
just
board.
no pick protections. I think the Stipien rule, where you cannot trade consecutive picks, so every other year you have a draft pick regardless. And I said pick swaps, I guess, are fine too, because you can trade every other year, and then you can have a swap every other year. So you can trade, my 2026 pick I've traded, and my 2027 pick I actually don't have. I have, you know, the swap with Team X, so whoever has the worst record, they get the better pick, etc. I think that's fine. I think the protection thing, what happens is we just teams just kind of trade willy-nilly with protections attached because there's some hope that they'll get those picks back. And I think it just kind of we lose sight of the plot when we're just trading. We're just trading words on a page. It's like we're not even trading actual assets anymore.
Especially when you trade like a 2032 with a top four protection, and then 2032 comes along and you're like, wait, this isn't our picks? Like, yeah, you included it in this trade like 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Right.
oh, I didn't do that. The repercussions of that are just too convoluted for it to make sense why it exists, for
Yeah.
sure. I hear you. I like that. I don't think it makes so
So
much sense.
summarize, the lottery odds freeze at the deadline, and then flip, which wins grant you better lottery chances than losses at that point. The season is shortened to 65 games. The lottery is open technically to everybody, but maybe we take a team or out here and there, and with this percentage scaling, um, heftier structured process of fining, suspending, firing even for teams that are clearly tanking, and then getting rid of pick protections entirely. Those are my kind of main things that I thought could help our tanking problem here.
Yeah. I like everything that you even thought of counters. I can't say I thought of counters. I can try to think of some, but I again I just like that this is a conversation. Like this
Yeah,
something's gonna be happening, which is good. Couple things I thought of that were a little bit different than yours. We're on the same page mostly, but I really liked the adding 2 year records to count as like your lottery odds. I think
yeah,
3 years. I think 3 years
okay,
I think it should be good. Because you have one bad year, sure, but then you have two bad years, then that shouldn't affect that one good year that you had. It could have been a fluke, you know what I mean? So
I see.
I think 3 consecutive years is solid because I know the WNBA does the two, and that's how they're able. But they have less games, so
Oh,
I think
interesting.
less games helps as well with all of this. So I like that you brought that up because I didn't think about that. So that was cool.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So for the upcoming 2026 draft, you would take teams' records from 2026, 2025, and 2024, and that's how you kind of generate the lottery percentages based on the cumulative records from the three seasons. I gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I see that. I know that doesn't really. It won't help. These teams who keep picking poorly, like these Wizards and Nets and whatnot. But I think that will lower the odds for teams like the Mavericks. Like I I'm
I
happy that
like
they have a little bit
no
of a
the
future,
the
but
the teams that get lucky. Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you.
yeah, and like I'm not gonna be like I want the Mavericks to be bad because they made their bed with the Luka trade. I don't want that. I don't want any team to be bad or anything like that. But like it's a little not fair. This just kind of sucks for
For
like the
sure.
Wizards or a
Yeah,
team that could have like changed the whole outlook, and now the Mavericks had Luka, now they got Cooper. I mean, like that sucks for a lot of teams that aren't good. So I think doing the 3-year addition would have even lowered the odds more for the Mavericks to be in that. So
for sure. Yeah, no, I
so
like
that's
that.
why I think that would help. I really dislike. I think there should be no top three in a row. Like if you
Mm,
cannot have the number one
hmm
pick, number two, number three, like in succession, even if you are that bad. Like
hmm
you got the number one pick the year before, you got to be better than at least top three. That you cannot.
hmm
You have to be a little dissuaded to be that bad to try and be top three again.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm trying to think of examples. I know the Timberwolves drafted Wiggins and Cat in back-to-back drafts as number one picks. Um,
Really, number one. I didn't realize
yeah,
that.
they're both number one.
I mean, like I
Um,
was thinking of the Spurs mostly, like Wimby,
well,
Castle.
Wemby and Harper were split with Castle. He was number four,
Yeah, he was four.
so he does
Uh,
fall outside of this ruling here. Um, here, the thing I guess I would think about. I don't know how to address this really. I'll
mm,
just think. I think it's worth mentioning. Is I feel like teams and fans and all that all have an idea of the upcoming drafts. Like when Zachary Richeshea was the number one pick for the Hawks, everyone kind of knew like this is a weaker draft, right? Coming off the Wimby draft, going into the
hmm
Cooper draft the next year, there wasn't like a guy or like a guys right at the top. And then this upcoming draft is supposed to be really strong too at the top. So I just wonder, like, if there's a weaker draft, our teams real like, how do they fall? They happen to be a bad team. They fall and they get the a top three pick. It's like a not good draft, but then the next year's a really strong draft, and they have no chance of getting like a top three pick. I was just I don't know what the solution to that is. I just wanted to voice that kind of line of thinking.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think adding the years prior would help with that a little bit too. But
Hmm
I hear you. It's not perfect.
That is
I
true.
don't want to keep
The years
seeing like
prior would help. Yeah,
yeah, at least a little bit.
I like the 3 year cumulative record. I think that's smart.
Yeah. And then I think teams should be capped. I don't know if this exists. I didn't look it up, but it should be capped on how many first and second round picks you can own. Like I think it was crazy
This
the
is
Nets had
actually so
five.
true. This is actually so
Like the
true.
Nets having five first round picks makes zero
Yeah.
sense. When you have only 15 roster spots, why do you so you're gonna replace a third of your team? Like of course not. So I think like capping it at like three,
Except that they really did. They
I
really did
know.
draft five people.
And that's
Crazy.
yeah, or like okay, but like okay, if you have that many, then you have to. But I just don't think you should be allowed to have that many. Yeah, because I was gonna say like then you should be forced to trade up or down, but then you can't force other teams to trade. So I feel like it should just be a cap on how many you can have in a year.
How do you
And
feel knowing that the Thunder have three first round picks in the next two drafts?
see, that's what like. Well, three. I mean,
That,
three would that would fall in my
that's your
rule. It'd be fine.
number.
But
Yeah.
you would add up the anyways. If we're putting all this together, it would
Three
not.
definitely feels like a cap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gotta be. It cannot be more than that. And it also that will dissuade teams from just like basically
Just willy-nilly
pick
trade them.
farming. Oh, willy-nilly,
Yeah.
and then just like hoarding them
hmm
for no reason except to hoard them. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't think about that. That's good. Limiting the amount.
I,
Because then
I think
it's
it helps
like
them too because then teams will like the Lakers have no picks. So maybe if we were like capped on how many we could trade away, and I know there is that already, but like we would then it kind of would make
hmm
it a bit more equal across the board.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do, so you mentioned is similar to your last one. You said equal, not equal odds across the board, but basically every team has an odd.
hmm
I wrote something kind of crazy, but I mean, I don't know how much I love it in this moment right now. But basically, odds are equal across like the bottom 10.
Mm.
So that way, it's like okay, so you're almost in the play and almost not. Like
So they all got
doesn't re
10%.
Yeah. Or
Interesting.
yeah, but like also like I want yeah, I guess that's what I meant by that. I wanted to be opened up a bit more too, because I
Yeah.
also if you're aiming for the bottom,
So that's yeah,
no
that's
one's
out
gonna
of the
enjoy
plan.
that. Yeah, so you basically just out of the play, and everyone has just the same amount of odds. But it
Mm,
would if you add up like the years too, because again, like then teams like the Pacers could jump up, and but if you add everything up, then that maybe wouldn't be
hmm
as simple as that. So that's something that equalizes it a bit more now. Because like I said, like the top three, it's better now than it was, but it's still
hmm
like got to be pushed a little further.
Yeah, it's like the top three of the Pistons had the number one pick or number one odds and fell to five 2 years in a row. Get Asar and Ron Holland. Actually, 3 years in a row. Asar, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey. 3 years in a row. They went from one to five.
That's
Epic.
crazy. At least I got Cade.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're loving that. Yeah, but yeah, I
And I don't. Interesting. I feel like we could combine some of our rules to make a great overall fix to tanking. So
I
you're
think
welcome, Adam Silver.
yeah, hey, you just call us up, we'll help you out. I think the only backlash that I can see coming from any of this, I was thinking about this while we were talking about it. That's so much control the NBA is forcing upon these teams. Like the teams, they're not going to feel like they even have a say. Like it kind of reminds me of like our federal government. We have state governments, we have federal government. Federal government is over everybody. State governments
Hmm
still do their own thing. So like teams have their own way of doing things, but if the federal government, like if the whole NBA is like, no, now we're everyone has a chance to get to draft. Like
hmm
so, a lot of teams aren't going to be happy. A lot will, and a lot aren't. So how do you make it basically them not just like strike? Like, what if the players hate it too? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Think
there's
of
got to be some diplomacy involved. Anyways,
think of tanking like slavery, and the country is
and the
like,
Civil War. I mean,
no,
I
no more slavery, and you're just gonna have to accept
look.
it.
I again, I like all these ideas. I'm just there has to be there's Adam Silver's going to have a tough time
Yeah.
with trying to convince people that this he's Abraham Lincoln. And and
I
he's just
mean,
gonna
it's like he's tried to give him the chance. He's like, okay, you guys are like,
yeah
you're 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 not actually trying to win the league that you're currently running a team in. So like, I gotta fix it.
yeah. I'm also curious how this is. I don't know if you read something about this, but I saw it was mentioned. I mean, the league it will expand in the next couple
Yeah,
of years.
for sure.
Probably Seattle, probably Vegas. So, I mean, that's going to matter too. This is a team, if you do the adding 3 years, they're not going to have 2 years before. Like, how are you going to
Mhm.
kind of, so that has to be in the back of your mind
Yeah,
too,
the
I guess.
expansion teams, there's a rule because it's happened in the past with the
Yeah.
Raptors and Grizzlies, etc. They kind of come in at like number five in the draft or something, like some random, like pretty high spot, not the highest spot, but pretty high spot. I don't
Yeah.
remember how they determined that. I know how if once it's like super official, we can talk expansion drafts, but I think
I'm
it's
stoked.
like teams pick 8 players on their roster that you can't draft, and then everyone else is up for grabs basically. But like once a player is selected, you can't take another player from that team. So like the quickest example I just thought of, let's say there's an expansion draft, Seattle, Vegas, the Thunder don't pick Jared McCain as one of their 8 players because they have 1,000 players on their roster, right? And then like the Vegas picks Jared McCain. Okay, now you can't pick somebody from the Thunder because now
Mm,
they've had a player stolen from their roster. You have to pick from another team basically.
that would be
It's
so
it's kind of
interesting.
interesting how they do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of crazy. I actually don't even know the history of like how other Raptors and Grizzlies did it or anything. I've not looked into that.
All the knowledge I just told you is from NBA 2K. So
I knew it was a game because I was like
yeah,
I couldn't remember that. I feel like I did something like that in like a very early NBA Live like game like '01 or something. I just don't remember
yeah.
I remember like opening up my own stadium and arena, picking a city or something. It was I mean video games used to be cool, man. Now they're all just the same. But it's a 2K at least. Like it's all just, my
Yeah,
player I get drafted at 70 and I'm 99 by the end of the season. Makes zero sense.
you pick what team
Um
you go to.
yeah,
Classic.
you literally pick the team you go to. I like a lot of our solutions
Yeah, for
systemically. I think
sure.
I was really I like this exercise because it really made me kind of think a little bit outside the box for a couple of things for sure. So I hope
Next time
they
we'll tell you how to win the championship. That's what-
we're gonna unlock yeah, this just in. We know how to we've jailbroken the system. We know how to win. We know what we're doing now. Yeah. No, I'm interested to see how this. I wonder if they're gonna when they're gonna announce these ideas as well. Is it gonna be one at a time or all together, like a package? Kind of
I worry
curious.
that it's going to be like the couple seasons ago when they announced like how they're going to really start paying attention to like offensive fouls, and they kind of did for like half a season, and then it fell off the face of the earth. Oh, I hope it's not like that.
Bring that back because I mean I got so much gratification watching Steph Curry kick his legs out and get an offensive foul. I was like, yes, thank you. And now it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
They're like,
Uh,
well, he has a landing spot. His landing spot is 10 feet in front of him. It's like, what the? Like, I
uh,
don't know about that. I didn't mention this earlier on the pod, but I am going to Clippers Timberwolves this Thursday. I am freaking stoked to see my man Ant-Man play. I've never seen him play live yet. So
Ant-Man,
Ant-Man,
Ant-Man
Anthony Edwards.
versus Benedict Mathurin. Let's
Yeah,
go.
and Kawhi Leonard. So I mean, Clippers are still I've, like they've lost their games since the trade, but like they're competitive. Like they're barely losing these games. So I'm excited for a good game. And also coming up in the next few weeks is Bulls and Raptors. And I'm like, I think I got to go to all these games.
Are you gonna be part of the wall?
So here's the funny thing: you're not allowed. You can be part of the wall, but you can't wear other
Oh, I
teams.
know.
Yeah. So I bought tickets outside of that because I literally bought an Anthony Edwards shirt to wear to the game. Which is not in
Fair.
yet. Otherwise, I would be wearing it. I will wear it next week. Do not worry.
Yes, I can't
Um,
wait to see it.
but I
Yes,
had to. I was like, I gotta rep these wolves.
the show.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened right there. That was crazy.
Dude, we're getting unhinged, man. It's getting that time. But
Getting
yeah,
in the loony hours.
I'm excited for soon we're gonna be talking about seeding and all not all star already happened, but like awards and things like that. Damon's gonna make the shot. Oh my,
Yeah.
it just rimmed out. It just rimmed out. So
Except
close.
I didn't do my Shingun fucking.
Talk to it,
He
whisper to
doesn't
it.
do that anymore. He stopped
Why?
doing
Because it didn't
that.
work? Because he's like
I don't fucking,
69% from
I don't fucking know, man. Money,
money,
money
cash
right into
money.
the fucking
Oh,
cat bowl. God damn it.
I will say, shout out to the Mavericks for playing Chris Middleton.
Cash money.
They traded him and they're playing him. Gotta let us see. They're not shutting him down the season. So,
God, nothing more I love in this world than Chris Middleton's oddly shapen head, huh? That thing is awesome.
no, what I enjoy more than that, just a little bit more, is the fact that he's number 20 on the Mavericks.
I I actually don't enjoy that.
It just looks a little off. It just looks a little wrong. Um, but yeah, this has been a great time talking about the NBA. We got some cool things coming up, and I hope everyone that is listening is doing great and having a good day and night. This has
Do you
been
know how to end this podcast?
this is Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Bucket!